Greetings, Ashen, the comic book hunter here for another comic book hunt. If you're new to my show, I'm going to go ahead and break it down for you. The first thing I do is talk to you about comics that I picked up in this past week, let you know what I thought, give you a little review. Maybe you might be interested in them then. And the second portion, I talk to you about comics you might want to pick up in the next new comic book day. The final portion, I talk to you about crowdfunded comics. So if you're interested in that scene, then that's what you want to pay attention to. So let's go ahead and get started. The first comic I picked up was Rogue Planet by Cullen Bunn. Yes, this was a pretty interesting book. This was going to be the make or break it week for me on this series. The first issue set up a lot of things, a lot of character development and stuff, and I was worried that there wasn't going to be enough intrigue. But we get here, and there is plenty of intrigue and body horror to go around. So if you like sci-fi horror like Aliens or maybe some stuff by Junji Ito, then definitely go ahead and check out this series. Let me show you a little bit of the art. And here you can see our heroes confronted by, other adventurers that came to this planet before them, and they have these weird alien space tentacles coming out of their suits. Very strange, but I do like what they're doing with this and the other stuff that they do with the series. It's quite cool, and leave it to Cullen Bunn to come up with a concept like this. So if that looks like your thing, then please go ahead and check it out. The next thing we have to talk about is also a horror comic book, but very different from our last one. Here we have Sleeping Beauties. Look at that cover. Isn't that beautiful? Paid $5 for the 1 in 10 variant just because this is so wonderful. This story is, well, let me go ahead and show you the other cover real quick. This is cover B. This is the other one I picked up. Honestly, I don't know what to make of this story yet. It is so bizarre. And the art is really experimental, very hit or miss. There's some times where it works wonderfully, and then there are other times where you feel like it comes off as just a bit cheap. Anyway, here, take a little look at this real quick. So we have this character here who wanders around the woods. That's sort of her domain. She comes across a dead rabbit at one point, and she talks to it, and it lets her know about some people that need to be taken care of, maybe people that have entered her domain and caused some trouble. Anyway, you could see behind her she's trailing some sort of energy in her footsteps. The squiggly lines, they're very intentionally there, and they're a theme that's reoccurring throughout this comic book. I don't really know what to make of this yet. It introduces a lot of characters, and when you see what this girl here is capable of, it is beautiful and violent. So I don't know if I like this or not yet. It has my attention though, and I think that's what's important. So if you want to check out a really strange horror comic, then you want to check out Sleeping Beauties. Next up, we have my last comic for this evening, The Grieving. Yes, this book had me at the art on the cover, right here. You see this art here? This is really what interested me. The concept too was also pretty good after I looked into it a little bit, but this reminds me of somebody on Patreon, honestly, the art on the cover, and I really appreciate their work, and I don't know if it is the same creator or not, but I really do like this style a lot, and it got me with some expectations for what might be on the inside. Now, was this story super brutal and violent and all this kind of bloody, wonderful stuff? Not really. But I wasn't disappointed at the same time either. What I did find on the inside was something that was pretty cool. It's kind of a basic story. It's nothing extremely complicated, but it's very well written, very competently made, and the art is just wonderful. This is our character, as you can see here. She has suffered some tragedy. She was in the graveyard visiting her mother, and some hooligans came messing around, and unfortunately, it led to her potentially perishing. But fate had other ideas. So I'm not really going to spoil too much more for you. The Grieving is this entity here, and it becomes intertwined with her life. So, like I said, it's kind of a basic story, but I really did enjoy what they did with this. I like the family dynamic and the life and death and how all of it kind of ties together. It's really quite cool. So, if you get the opportunity, I highly recommend that you check that comic out. And that's it for this week. Let's go ahead and talk about comics coming up next week. Okay, so what do we have? Not much, honestly. We have The Plot. This is The Plot number 5. I've been reading the series for a while, this whole time now, and it's actually quite good. It can be a bit boring at times, but the visuals and the intensity of the story and how all the characters relate to each other is just so good that I can't put it down. I can't stop reading this series, even though every now and again I'm like, come on, something happened. But that could just be on me, really, because I'm not a very patient person. I like a pretty good amount of things to happen when I'm reading comic books. And for probably at least one issue, things slowed down, and I wasn't even sure I was going to continue reading it, but here we are, issue number 5, and I'm still digging it. So if you like horror comics, this is very traditional, very interesting. They do a lot of pretty good stuff with it, and the visuals are, well, just breathtaking sometimes. Like something like Robert Geronimo would draw. Not Robert. Well, I guess you could say Robert Geronimo, but I'm thinking more along the lines of Guillermo del Toro. Sorry. It's that kind of a visionary story. So if that sounds good to you, then go ahead and check out The Plot. Yeah, not a whole lot going on with comics. Marvel and DC are doing this thing where they're rotating weeks, or they'll put out new comics one week and then graphic novels and stuff the next week. So that's why I really don't have much to pick up. But at least I have The Plot. At least I have an excuse to get out of the house to go there and pick up that comic book. All right, so we are now entering the final phase. Yes. Let us look into crowdfunded indie comics. See if there's anything you might be interested in. We have Vestri, number 1. This just came out today, and it's moving along pretty good. It might already have hit its goal. I took this a little while ago. But if you like straight up fantasy, then I think you'll like this. I'm somebody who's enjoyed D&D for a good portion of my life ever since high school. And this looks like it's going to be right up my alley. Also, it's $14 shipped. You really can't beat that. $14 shipped. And also, they have a tier for $60. And I think you get an art page or something like that right out of the book for just $60. So if that kind of thing sounds good to you, then go ahead and check out Vestri number 1. Next up, we have Mighty Mascots. This Indiegogo campaign contains Volume 1 and the upcoming Volume 2. I don't remember if the first one was put through Indiegogo or not, but this one is definitely here. Keith Gleason is a good guy, works for Alternate Comics. This is going to be put out through Alternate Comics, but you can get 5, count them, 5 variant covers in this campaign, ones that you cannot get through Alternate Comics. So if you like superheroes, then this has you covered. It's about a 3D printing accident which causes company mascots to come to life and gain their own identity. But not all of them that come through are good, and that is where the battle ensues. So if that sounds interesting to you, then check out the Mighty Mascots. Pick up those variant covers because they look sweet. Help this campaign out. And, when this comes out and is printed and you got your awesome variant covers, and you can brag to everyone about it. All right. Last but not least, we have Legends of Lone Wolf. Yes. I've been pushing this one for a little while. I believe this one's currently at the printer. They had a lot of trouble getting everything formatted to get this to the printer. But I believe everything's underway now. Garrett is a good guy. And this story is about a Native American who Well, he can't die. The spirits of his elders live in him, and he must hunt evil. So it's kind of a simple story, but it's really well told. You know, it's a lot like the Grieving in that way. The art is top notch, and this is an anthology, so this may be a bit different than the first volume. I know that they have a lot of different artists and stuff like that in here, and I'm really interested. I know not all of it is the best art out there, but I'm really interested in seeing what the individual expression using this character in different ways and building up his mythology will be like. So if that sounds good to you, Legends of Lone Wolf is going to be a tight book. Then check it out before the campaign closes forever. Okay. Well, that's it for comics. That's all I have for you this evening in that way. I'll just briefly show you one more thing I have. I just picked up Friday the 13th, the Steel Box. Yes, limited edition Steel Box. Got this off of Amazon. It's beautiful. This is my favorite Friday the 13th movie, if you don't know, because I really, like, the end really shocked me. If you've never seen this movie, go in, don't read about it, just watch this movie. You'll go in expecting something and leave with something else. But this is definitely my favorite in the entire series. I know a lot of people don't feel that way for certain reasons, but in my opinion, it's this difference that really makes it the best. But here you go. You can take a look at it. It comes with the digital code, but what they don't tell you about the digital code is that it's for the rated version. The rated version. Yeah. Who wants that? This is the unrated Blu-ray. Who wants the rated version? It doesn't make any sense to me. What a disappointment. I mean, maybe somebody out there wants the theatrical cut, but I always go for the unrated version if I can. Just like the Candyman. That one is way better unrated. Anyway, that's my nerd horror complaints for this evening. Well, I hope you had a good time watching this. I appreciate anybody who stops by and watches this, leaves a like, subscribes. I just want to be here for your entertainment, and hopefully we can all gain something out of it. Anyway, thank you all, and I hope you all have a great evening. Yes.